Yeah, but that's S-A-Y-E-T-H-S-Y-M-P-H-E.
I guess we're just going to take notes, I guess. I'll take official minutes, and we just take down any extra notes that you can do.
Oh, no. We'll get cards, you know, like the insurance company, you know, it's Fred H. Winchowski on the second card. Mary Winchowski. There's spell the name on the second card.
Okay. It's after 6:30, so we can call the meeting to order. In absence of Gene Schultz, who's not here tonight as our normal secretary, I'll fill in for her as the secretary. I guess there's no objection to that. All right. So I'll take attendance here. Roll call. So Susie Bauer.
Here.
Linda Berg is excused. Klaus Heidman.
Here.
Tom Parkhauser here. Joe McAdams.
Here.
John Myers. Okay. Mary Hatch.
Here.
April Rechka is excused. Gene Schultz is also excused. Roger Walsh.
Here.
Jason Wamser. Here. Fred Winchowski.
Here.
Shelley Jurgens. Okay. Excellent. All right. Very good. So we do have 8 members here, so we do have enough to proceed, and we will. All right. So next thing, we will go to number 3 on the agenda, approval of the minutes of both April 21st and May 5th. So just going to the minutes of April 21st. Can I get a motion to approve those minutes?
I will be approving minutes.
All right.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. All right, motion carries. All right, then May 5th, we took a tour around the village. Not too many minutes just from that, but the tour was helpful, I gotta say, so I was glad that we did that. That was a good idea. That helped a lot. I'll leave it at that. So can I get a motion to approve those minutes of May 5th?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Susie and Fred? All in favor? Any discussion? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Okay, motion carries. All right, moving on here. We're already on number 4, so we're making good progress here. All right, so we'll go on to review, discussion, and consideration of updated draft goal and objective statement to guide the comprehensive plan. Okay. What do you have for us here? So on number 4 here? Yeah, we're on 4 here. Okay. Okay, so,
Chairman, just for the
Yes,
record,
Bruce.
John Miners.
okay, John.
Attendance.
Got it. All right. So, and taking a look at the goals, the objectives, we revised some of those things. And Bruce, we're looking to make a motion to pass these and accept
Yes,
these
so
goals.
staff asked you to do that tonight. Yes.
Okay,
If you so desire.
sure. So in consideration of time, if you're taking a look at that, I think we should just move on to page 3 where we actually begin to make changes. We read the pages 1 and 2, little discussions on that. Let's just move on to the parts that we discussed, updated, and we'll make a motion on that if we all agree and approve the goals and objectives. All right with everybody? Okay, cool. All right. So the goal as changed by the, I'm at the bottom of page 3, the goal as changed by the committee on April 21st. Here's the goal. And if there's any objections or people want to change this, now's the time to say that. The land use goal of the village of Aguanaco is to maintain an atmosphere, village lifestyle that maintains a healthy and prosperous downtown that provides support for well-maintained and aesthetically appealing built environment, that provides sustainability through moderate growth of all land uses, and that recognizes the need to continually provide quality life cycle housing, while developing specific opportunities for more intensive use of the land to serve the community with quality jobs and housing without impacting the overall village lifestyle. There's a few things that were stricken last time. Were there any objections to those? No. Everyone's good with that?
the new as redrafted by village staff, I guess.
For your consideration, yeah.
Should we read that, I guess?
Should we go through all these and just, we'll keep going on then to the second, keep moving forward here, we're on page 4 now. Okay? Next goal, again, as rejected by village staff. We will maintain our village lifestyle through advancing opportunities for sustainable land use that promotes a prosperous downtown, family-friendly, walkable community, and quality new growth and development of all land uses, including quality life cycle housing. The objectives to meet the land use goals are as follows. Thank you, Fred. To continually work with business owners, property owners, and community organizations toward policies that enhance the continuous prosperity of the village. To provide land uses and redevelopment opportunities in and around the downtown that is complementary to and supports a strong business community. To safeguard that new development or redevelopment protects the livability of existing village neighborhoods. Okay, we struck this one, but I'll read it anyways. To create opportunities for more intensive land uses that provide quality jobs, goods and services, and a diversity of housing to village residents and surrounding service area, while ensuring the intensive land uses are fiscally beneficial to village taxpayers and are designed and located with minimal impact to the local street system and the environment. So we're striking that and going with this. To create opportunities for land conservation, promoting developments that create quality jobs, provide goods and services to the community, and provides life cycle housing. So, is there any discussion on that?
Well, why did we take out impact on local streets? I missed it, okay.
I mean, I kind of have the same sensation that maybe we needed to continue with a thought that had something to consider the existing,
Okay.
and whether it's streets or,
So do
I had a note that was like in harmony with existing desired developments or village activities, I guess. Streets. I guess,
So what we're talking about is if we go down 4, to evaluate all new development or redevelopment, then it talks about stormwater management, local schools, public utilities, local streets.
I'm sorry, where were we at, Roger?
Where you struck out, if you go 1, 2, 3, 4 down.
Okay. Okay. So we're addressing it, is what you're saying.
Right, it mentions local streets, that was stricken, but it comes up in the, 4 down.
Okay, so we still are, that's a part of the goal, to respect existing streets. Okay. All right, so we'll carry on there, we'll get to that, I'll keep reading these. To seek land uses that allow for a variety of housing types for a growing and diverse population meeting the needs of all age groups while sustaining a suitable ratio of single-family detached homes. To encourage alternative styles of new housing development or redevelopment that can be adjustable to meet future housing demands. To evaluate all new development or redevelopment in conjunction with the goals and objectives of other comprehensive plan elements, especially with the needs and capacities of local schools, public utilities, local streets, stormwater management, and water quality, and the provisions of proper police and fire protection. So we feel that we're addressing that okay there? Okay with that? Okay.
Water quality and water supply, are those equal, similar, covered?
water management, I guess, would
Water
be part of the
management.
supply.
Okay.
I feel comfortable with that.
Okay.
The last 3 here are to evaluate all new development or redevelopment with quality architectural, site, and landscaping design principles. To ensure open spaces and recreational opportunities are provided for existing and new residents, along with the protection and integration of the many local environmental features into new developments or redevelopments for the enjoyment of residents. Last one, to coordinate with property owners and business owners toward a well-maintained and aesthetically pleasing built environment. Okay? So those are the goals and the objectives there. Are we good with those? Okay, any discussion there? Okay. So with that then, do we have a motion to approve these goals and objectives?
Second.
First was Suzie. Who was the second there?
Roger.
Okay. Any discussion there?
I do have a question, so going back to that one you talked about briefly, which got deleted and redrafted, which one are you going to? I was trying to follow you. There seemed to be an echo in this room today for some strange reason. I don't know if it's the way I have it set up today or not, but I haven't had the sensation in this room before, but.
The one,
Pardon?
it's 4 up from the bottom to evaluate all new development. We feel that that one covers what was eliminated in regards to the streets and other activities.
So the fourth last goal, Bruce,
Okay.
we feel if you go down from where you are, is addressing, evaluating new developments or redevelopments with consideration to existing streets. So I think we're gonna take these goals and run with them. So we have a first from Suzie and a second from Roger. Is there any other discussion there?
Yeah.
Okay, without any discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Objectors, please say aye. All opposed, say no. Okay. Those objections are passed. All right. So we'll move on to number 5, we'll review, discuss, and consider the interstate planning district and the Main Street / River South planning district. So you should have in your packets there a couple of maps there that highlight what we're talking about here. Bruce, do you have those on the screen that you can show us the audience?
Here we go.
Okay.
And if I could, you're seeing this for the first time. The reason this has been added in, hearing some of your comments in previous meetings and on the tour and the meeting last Saturday of the tour of project in East Troy. Some of you made contact between meetings with me, which is fine. I encourage that. There's still some question, what level of scrutiny will we have on these land use categories that we are working on? So I had this thought of this adding another level in here of basically scrutiny or criteria, so that we could put certain land uses that we're recommending, especially the higher density, high intensity land uses that are being proposed, into these planning districts, because that's what I think we've talked about, what I've heard, that's what we talked about for that first meeting. We went through that nominal group technique. Yes, we could have higher intensity, but in only certain locations of the village. That we started talking about land use at the very first meeting, which was excellent. So my suggestion is doing these 2 planning districts, and then when we get in the next item on the agenda, next couple items on the agenda, those couple or several of those land use categories will only be allowed within these planning districts. Again, like I said, another level of review, so to speak. Yes, anybody can ask for any relief with an amendment to the comprehensive plan or zoning that they desire. But there's more, I thought if there's more levels for them, for people to go through and ask for amendments, the more unlikely it is that down the road people will ask for amendments from my comprehensive plan.
Bruce, can people come to you with amendments for land that are inconsistent with the comprehensive plan, and can those then be approved?
It could be, you have to go through a public hearing process, yes.
Okay.
You can amend the comprehensive plan through a public hearing process, and the process for amending that, we'll be talking about that near the end of our discussions here as a committee before the final recommendation, how the plan gets implemented, and how it gets implemented, part of it is how it gets amended as well. So that there'll be language added to the end of this document that we're preparing, and the goals and objective statements you just approved will be the first part of that document.
When you say that, Bruce, are you talking about variances and non-conforming uses?
No, that's getting into zoning. Now we're talking about, for example, here's a good example we just went through here in the village. Mr. and Mrs. Block, who owns property west of Linden Grove on the south side of County Truck Highway NN. They own, there's 3 separate properties. They're, at the time of their life, they want to sell their properties and they no longer want to maintain it. And it's zoned residential, shown as on our as multifamily on our comprehensive plan, the current comprehensive plan map. And they talked to several people, and everybody says it should be commercial. So they submitted to the village a request to rezone the property. But first, when they met with us, staff, and I was included, the first thing I said, well, look at the comprehensive plan, they have to amend the comprehensive plan. So they went through a process where they amended the comprehensive plan. They also asked for a rezoning of the property, but the Plan Commission recommended denial of the rezoning until they get a user in place, or we know who might be developing the property. But the comprehensive plan was changed. The Plan Commission recommended changing the comp plan, the map, to business and commercial, and then the village board held a public hearing. By state law of the comprehensive planning law, the public hearing has to be held by the village board. But the Plan Commission must make a recommendation to the village board before the village board can take action. So that's an example of how the process works. Now, we can put criteria, and I'm thinking about if anybody wants to do, say for example, and why I suggested these planning districts, we can say if you're going to be changing anything in the planning, or you want to do something that's allowed, a land use that's only allowed in one of the 2 planning districts, but you want to change the comprehensive plan to allow someplace else in the village, maybe we put right in there in the implementation section of the plan that you need to convene another committee, make it a little more difficult for that process to go, rather than just holding a public hearing and going through a much simpler process of just going to the Plan Commission and going to the village board with a public hearing. So those are things that I got in my mind. I'm thinking, mulling over recommendations that you'll see down the road, why I suggested these planning districts.
Just one other question. When you amended the Blatt property to the plan, is that strictly the Blatt property, or was it an area that surrounded the Blatt?
Only their properties, yes.
So it was a case by case.
Which they can do. I mean, that's anybody, all of your property owners here in the area or in the village or outside the village. Anybody can request an amendment. We live in the United States of America, but that doesn't mean it's going to be approved.
Or easy, or
Right.
depending on the steps that have to be taken.
Yes. So the interstate planning districts, about an area about 2.5 square miles in size. On the upper left-hand corner is I-43. The top right-hand corner is the old interurban line. That's all basically wetland there anyways. And the bottom of the map, as I'm moving the cursor here, does it show up? Cursor shows up, okay. Is that's County Trunk Highway L. This portion is in Walworth County. The portion I'm highlighting here with the cursor is in Racine County. So this takes in the north corners of the intersection of Highway 83 and Highway L. By current state law, the village cannot annex any land into Racine County by current state law. But I'm of the opinion, because this is still within the planning jurisdiction, extraterritorial planning jurisdiction of the village, mile and a half we can plan out. And since state law can be changed tomorrow, just as easily as it got changed about 10 years ago that we couldn't annex into Racine County, or that the village couldn't annex into Racine County, I suggest we still plan for that area, because if it ever does get within the village, then we have some starting point in discussion of land use. And the eastern boundary drew a line here that I thought could be suitable as the eastern boundary of the planning district. Where I'm drawing the cursor right here, there's an environmental corridor in there. So on the current plan, that's shown as the buffer, if you will, between the higher intensity land use of what's shown now in the current plan as business park, and then large lots, single family or agricultural east of that. But I'm showing this as a whole contiguous area that has the potential of higher intensity land uses because it is close to the interstate. Obviously, it takes in already what we have, what we call the gateway neighborhood, the Legend Meadows apartments, the new Aldi Pro Health facility, Home Depot, Walmart, the new Lynch facility, YMCA, and the new business park that's anchored by Gearbox Express, right where the cursor is right now. So that's the interstate planning district. Excuse me. And then the Main Street River South Planning District, much smaller in size, only about 100 acres in size, with the area we're in right now at Village Hall, that for the last several years has been discussed in this room and at various committees and with the village board of having higher intensity mixed use type of development in this area for redevelopment and development of the vacant property in this neighborhood. The north side is the Waquanago River, east is the railroad tracks, the south boundary is the line basically between the properties facing Bayview Road, which are all retail in nature right now, and the residential areas to the south, and the west side is the East Road Railway tracks. So it's more contained than the other planning area. And as we'll be talking about in a few minutes, the land uses that will be allowed in this Main Street River South Planning District as recommended by staff. Let me put it that way. Just I'm not assuming they're going to be just approve it just because I recommended it, but mixed use in this area as higher intensity multifamily with retail or other uses on the same property or in the same general vicinity. Getting back to the interstate planning district, the thought process here is as recommended to you that what would be allowed here, the high density multifamily that we talked about last month at April 21st, up to 15 dwelling units per acre. Mixed use with higher density, up to 20, and maybe even higher in certain situations with some criteria that we have to talk about. And then the higher intensity retail commercial areas as well could be allowed here, which is generally the zoning that is placed in this property and in this area that's being developed already with Home Depot and Walmart area. Any questions?
The current plan, just to remind me, is in terms of density, you've got up to 20 depending on what the usage is. What's the current one? Current plan?
8. Well, the zoning is 8, but the current plan said 10.
10 on everything, anything.
Yeah, 10 on, yeah, they said approximately 10 units per acre. Yeah, the current plan has text to that word, yeah.
No, thanks for
Density.
reminding me. Thanks.
So I guess, as I understand this, and Bruce or anybody here with more knowledge or things to add, please do speak up. These districts are really designed to maybe alleviate some of the concerns and worries of people in the village. When certain things are discussed in the north end of town, You know, there's concerns to existing neighborhoods and what potential high density and that residential impact that would have on single lot families and things of that nature. I believe, Bruce, please help me out here if I'm wrong here in saying what I'm about to say, but these districts are really designed in mind that we would focus our high density multifamily mixed use business in these districts specifically.
Yes.
So that's a way we, and parts that would allow for this, and where there's ample land, development areas, and multiple opportunities that the Interstate Planning District and the Main Street / River South Planning District would, that's where the high density mixed use business would be, would all be confined in there, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And I want to add too, you know, I've referenced state law, what you can or cannot do with comprehensive planning under state guidance. It does, you know, we have to have a comprehensive plan if we zone property, if we have subdivision regulations. But the state law doesn't tell us how we have to plan. It doesn't say we need a certain amount of business districts or multifamily districts, and or how we define them. So this is our leeway within the comprehensive planning law to be able to do this with the planning districts.
So, just to add another point, for those of you that, I know not everybody in this community up here was able to take the tour that we took 2 Thursdays ago, but as we took that tour, we went down into the Interstate Planning District South, 43, Wolf Run. We took a look down there, and we got an update on some of the plans that are being proposed right now for the high-density multifamily, where that would go, you know, and just the general scope of what could be there. So there are plans to, you know, add some housing, add some apartments to that area, and in conjunction with that, perhaps there's further plans, for example, on the Summers property, where there could be some big box retail. And looking back at the previous survey that was used to really guide this, you know, I thought it was definitely important to look at the previous survey. I wouldn't discount that. What people's opinions were then still have some weight today. And there is a lot of people in the community that are speaking out and would like some more retail, some options of that. And I think that's a great area for that stuff to go. That's just my opinion. Some of those things are time sensitive, as I understand. If the committee, if we debate certain things for a heck of a long time, some of those options are going to go away. And perhaps they're going to go away for good. So I guess I'm not trying to say let's lack the integrity of just moving things along just for the sake of moving fast. I'm not saying that. But I am saying there should be some degree of urgency. I'm just asking for that. That we take the time to plan and vote accordingly, but also to realize we don't have the luxury of a ton of time either. So
I'm going to disagree.
okay.
I'll disagree for a couple of reasons. And it's not necessarily the big box stores or whatever, and it's not necessarily what you said, but in terms of time is of the essence on some of these things. I'm a residential real estate appraiser. I'm not a commercial appraiser, so that's a world of difference. Those two very different things. But the real estate market in residential has just gone crazy hot in the last 30 days. Multiple offers, over asking price offers, you know, stuff we haven't seen in a long time. And so when things are moving and if the economy is getting better, and we could disagree or agree on, you know, how strong the economy is or not, I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities that are available, and it may not be just what's in front of you today. And I think that, I don't know if we're going to get into, you know, more details about, you know, these developments connected to the rest of the village, you know, and some of the restrictions that will be put on them, that type of thing. But I'm just saying that these opportunities are coming because there's been a change. None of these opportunities were there because it's driven by private dollars, the economy, and things are changing. That's why the timing of this stuff is such that, you know, these opportunities are starting to pop up. And we're all here to take a look at these land use things and say, how does this all fit to the village to the best, you know, the quality of life of the village. You know, putting stuff here in terms of a gateway zone, where Walmart and Home Depot are, you know, Lynch, I mean, that makes sense to me. But I'm also saying that, you know, instead of, you know, ready, fire, aim, you know, just, you know, just from what I'm seeing, again, residential has nothing to do with commercial rate or commercial guy. So these things are coming because there's some changes going on and money is starting to free up that hasn't been available for 10 years. That's my comment on that.
Sure.
And not to slow things down or, you know, put brakes on or whatever, I'm just saying that, you know, some thought about it and whatever. And then what you're doing in terms of your land use planning, again, you know, this is a broad picture in terms, you know, of the entire village. The things I look at are, you know, how are you going to connect these things? And if you got the high density, you know, in that area, you know, you said big box stores, you know, that's kind of been a change in the last few years. I mean, Amazon.com and, you know, it's changed some of the, you know, the retail paradigm on how things are done. So, you know, we're kind of in a state of, you know, change in some things. What things are going out there, we're allowing or permitting or, you know, giving that land use to those things that can go out there, but I don't know what they're gonna be, none of us do. I've never been able to figure that out exactly what they're gonna be. Take your best opportunity for the village and it fits everybody. That's
Sure, and I'm with that. I think it's important the work that we're gonna do tonight with improving land use categories. I think it's important to consider and to approve these when we're ready so that these discussions can actually take place.
Sure.
So, not saying, let's, you know, just like, again, lack integrity and just push forward and ready, fire, aim. I'm definitely not advocating that. But I also don't want to, you know, I do want to put some emphasis on that. We're going to extend our timeline from end of June, which I think was the original game plan, Bruce, is that right?
Yeah.
We're going to go all the way into August with this now.
Thanks.
So I just
Thank you.
want to say that, but I appreciate your comments as well, Roger. So Bruce, are you looking for us, again, to pass?
If you like, yes.
Okay, is there a discussion from the committee here about the two districts here that Bruce has presented?
I guess I was looking at the Main Street River South planning district, and I was wondering, behind Antigua, Real, and whatnot, yes, there's existing developments, but I've also heard that maybe something else might go there, but we have some housing back there, and I'm wondering about what the adjustment would be for land use. I mean, if you're in a high-intensity district, is there some setback or protections from those homes back there? Behind, your road? Yeah, right there. Because there's something, I don't see the strip going anywhere, but I maybe heard some talk or something that Antigua Real might not always be there. I don't know. It's possible, I guess. But I guess I'm wondering if there's a buffer or some sort of coverage in the ordinance for what might happen there with redevelopment. Maybe.
Well, one thing, right now, vacillating, that should be handled in the comprehensive plan or in the details of zoning when we get to that point.
Land use.
For, you know, the land use. That's definitely a statement that can be in the comprehensive plan. But, you know, the regulation of it should be something that's in the zoning standards, whatever standards end up
Okay.
with, in this area. Correct. Or, well, yeah, I won't say anything else. It's up to the committee, when we get into a few meetings from now, when we start putting colors to the map, because each land use category is going to have a separate color, and I still have to work out what the colors are going to be. But when we start talking about it and drawing lines on the map and Xing it out and doing, you know, revisions to the map, which I totally expect here at this level, you know, we say that's low intensity stays low intensity business and commercial. We can't, you know, as an example. Other people might feel that they,
Is that what it is currently, I guess, it would be the next question?
yes,
So if we don't
That's what-
change
so-
the land use,
that's what it's
then
right
it
now.
will protect itself from,
but the option is, you know, maybe other people think we should put mixed use in that property, you know. That might be, we'll have to talk about when we get to that
I
point.
guess I'd be curious to know what those people. I mean, they're the ones that really have the say. That seemed kind of touchy, you know, as far as if I was over there, I might be concerned. I don't know how we rectify that, but.
So Bruce, when we get to the point of future meetings and we're discussing this particular area, and we get into the finer details of getting on the map and placing zones on that, at that point in time, those people who live there then would be, is that how this works? That they would be notified?
Not directly, if you want us to do, we can.
Okay.
If you're anticipating, some things, we can do that,
Okay.
definitely.
That was the only thing that kind of drew my concern.
Okay, anybody else have comments there?
Well, with this, the obvious, looks obvious, you can just move the boundary of Davy Road. And you could exclude, then you eliminate that, and it would always be, you just make it as,
Low intensity.
it'd just be low intensity and business related between south of Davy Road. And you could do that as well. I know there's a large, well, yeah, there's one large chunk that's not developed there, that's open. But, I mean, that's, just make it less, lower intensity, lower density.
I guess, Bruce, do you want to share your thoughts why you drew it that way? Yeah, I assume there was a.
Well, it's property lines, he followed the property lines.
Okay.
Yeah, this
So it's
large
basically-
vacant area, and here is a lot of wetlands, that's,
It's not-
Birch Rock, that's the, there's a Birch Rock Senior Housing Complex in
Birch
there,
Rock
and
is
a
over
lot of
there.
that's not buildable in that area.
So that's an
It's like right there.
You know, wetlands and things like that in there. I do know that he has approval from way back when to build several other buildings with, maybe right in here along, Main Street or Highway ES, but not in back in here, it's all by right corridor wetlands.
Bruce, off the top of your head, do you know what the density is for Birch Rock, or didn't ask? If you don't, that's fine.
Off the top of my head, I have looked that up, I don't remember what it was.
Let's just get a comparison. Thanks.
Yeah.
This is really virtual. This is the first section of rural overlay.
It's in my notes, I'll look it up, Roger, next couple of weeks, and let you know.
This is where that rural overlay is going.
All right. Do we have a motion to approve these, I guess you would do them one by one here, Bruce?
Whatever you choose.
Okay, let's do these one by one. Do we have a motion to approve the Main Street River West Alpine District as presented by Bruce?
I guess the question that Freddie brought up, moving the boundaries, is that, what are we voting on?
Well, if you don't feel you need to, if you can adjust it by saying it's gonna be low density, and you just say it's low density when we do the draft, right?
What we're saying is some of the higher density, the recommended higher density land use categories have the opportunity of being located in here.
Right.
But you're still going to be assigning property by property or groups of properties land use categories.
Okay.
So we're not gonna make, say, across the board.
Well, here's what
It's my recommendation, you know, you're the committee, you're the drivers here, but my recommendation is, we're not gonna say this whole 100 acres is gonna be high density and or mixed use. There's some properties here it's not appropriate for.
So when we get to the future meeting of working within this particular area, we could place certain land use categories that would maybe prevent high density going right next to
Yes.
potential single family home
Correct.
or something like that.
Yes.
So we can address that at future meetings.
Yes.
Okay.
What's your zoning category for this?
I said it would be low intensity commercial.
Right now, basically this whole area is zone B2. There's several deviations to that, which is the historic, general business district in the village.
So it's currently B2.
Yes. And since we're talking about this area, I'll get into this a little longer, again, when we get into more detail with the land uses. But in my view, and talking to a lot of people who've been around here for a while, going back to the 1970s, like one person over there on this other side, well, yeah, and John as well. This area was unincorporated. It was an unincorporated town of Quantico, and then slowly annexed into the village. And there was marginal type of retail and commercial uses in this area. And it's been slowly changing with the newer uses, being coming in, and even the auto uses on Main Street in the last 15 years have updated themselves to make them look better and fit more into the community. So it's a changing area. For example, what is now Indian Head Park, just north of us, was the village dump for many years. And that's the issue, trying to find suitable areas to put up a pavilion on that site, because it's unstable soil. So, as an example, what has gone on in this area a long time ago, there was just to the southwest, Fred, there's like a go-kart track or a racetrack or
Jerry driving.
yeah, so those types of uses, I'm not saying they were bad, they were probably good at the time, but they're, I would call them transitional uses that we knew they weren't gonna last, or the community didn't know they were gonna last.
Baby Road didn't exist.
Right.
That was a great addition that you cited.
And that was within the last 20 years. The east-west connection was Front Street.
Right. Okay, so I guess basically for what you're asking us to do as a committee tonight, this is basically an area that we're looking for the higher density, so that when somebody comes from another area and they're looking at the village of Quantico, and they say, all right, where's your high density area? This is the location that this is the map you're gonna pull out of drawer and show. That's kind of what, so it's not a map of the center of the village, it's not a map of Field Park, it's not a map of River Park Estates. It's a map of where we think, based on this map, where high density, multi-use projects should go. That's what you're telling me. All right, so that doesn't say anything's gonna be built there, it just says that this is the spot we're showing you where it would be a possibility to do it.
Correct.
And I think I understand what Jason's saying, because we are working with redevelopment with the Lynch property, and there's nothing to say that somebody couldn't come in and just fall in love with where Susie's store is and just like that location being right next to the railroad tracks to listen to the 35 trains a day, and they just want to build something here, so they would buy the whole thing, bulldoze it, and try and build something else. So I understand what you're saying, then you got to be concerned about subdivision behind it.
Frank, can I ask a question or not?
We'll keep, I'm sorry, we got just, to keep the quorum of the meeting, we'll have public comments at the end here. What's that?
After everything's voted?
Well, it is a public process, and this is a new item. And if our intention is to actually make a motion and vote and move forward, then I think we have to involve the public.
Good.
You can do it.
That sounds,
It's-
so if
it's-
we want to put in public comments I mean, can we put one in right now at 5.5? And then come back at 8? I mean, just in the spirit of keeping it current and not skipping down through the other stuff and then.
It's
we're gonna
also,
come back on
it's
11.
also a plan commission member that's asking the question, so.
He's a citizen.
He's a citizen and a.
Can I ask a question?
Does anybody object to having some public comments on this right now?
You go.
All right, here's my question, as far as clarity goes, is once you guys submit your recommendations that potentially goes through the plan commission and gets adopted, as it currently sits and what will go through is a 2035 or whatever date you put on it, future land use map, and that land use map has every single property. We believe this should be zone B2, we believe this should be zoned R10, etc. And as Bruce was talking, he says that you guys are gonna do that 2 or 3 meetings from now. We're gonna pick this property here to be future R10, and this one will be future B3. But by adopting these subsections and saying, I don't care that we have this as a B2, we think that this whole 100-acre area could be multifamily, or we think this whole 100-acre area could be low intensity. Is there gonna be 2 maps? Are there gonna be 3 maps? It almost makes it seem that when you do go pick and choose, parcel A will be this, parcel B will be this, you know, what's the point of doing that if you made the whole 100-acre parcel open to anything low intensity? It almost seems like a futile process that by making this interstate zone or this South River zone, anything low intensity or anything high intensity, what's the point of picking each parcel as we think this should be here, this should be there? I don't understand what's going on with this portion of it and how that plays into the actual future land use map. So that's my comment as to what are we doing here? Are we gonna choose each parcel as it sits now as the comprehensive plan is, or are we gonna say this entire zone could fit any of these? So, I don't know. I'd like everybody to discuss it, but it doesn't make sense to do 2 separate maps.
Well, the committee could certainly, if I could respond,
Please.
the committee could certainly do that, we just said so. But my thought process is here that this is a confined area where only within the land uses would be a subset of the planning district, not totality.
So, I get it, so you want this area to be the only ones allowed for high intensity, low intensity, whatever it is. Does that mean if whoever it is chooses parcel A, call whichever parcel you want in there, we think that should be R3, I don't know, I'm just picking a number. Somebody comes in and says, well, I want to do the low intensity B3, and B3 is allowed in this area. Is that like an automatic, they get it rezoned because it's allowed there? I mean, that's kind of the way it makes it seem is, this is one of our allowed areas, so I don't care what it says on the map, because it's an allowed area. Come on in, here's our map of what we can do. It seems crazy to me.
No, they still have to conform what the land use designation for that parcel within this area.
Okay, so to take it one step further then, so there's areas to the north, to the east, that are currently the high intensity or the low intensity, whatever you guys eventually decide those to be. If those areas that are currently zoned that way are not in the interstate or not in this South River, are those automatically going to be changed in their zoning because they're not allowed up there?
That's addressed in the discussion of the now, in the descriptions. That's addressed for what is not within the planning district or already has that density. That they should have that. They could have that designation, say for example, Ashland Village or that's 16 units per acre up in North Main Street, or excuse me, Rochester Street. That there's a line in there that says basically anything outside of the planning area could get that designation but cannot be expanded or added on to. The density could not be
We
added.
have that.
So what about like vacant property?
No. Well, that's up to the committee how. Well, they could if the committee follows through and approves the the planning descriptions tonight, land use descriptions tonight, as presented or as drafted in their packet this evening, they could not.
So somebody that's, say, over by the fire department in the old century, if they have an R10 over there, and an R10, it stays at 8 or 10 or whatever it is, but that is no longer part of the interstate or part of the South Shore, that R10 is gonna get changed because it's, that area up there is no longer high intensity or low intensity, whatever you guys call it. That parcel that's R10 can no longer be R10.
Oh, yeah, that's another point. We'll get into that. I'm recommending that there be, with the high density multifamily, there be a totally new district drafted called R15. The current R10 would be just 10 units per acre. That's the recommendation. So the R10, so anything currently zoned R10, even a vacant property can only be at 10 units per acre.
So then
We're getting into the next. No, we're getting to the next couple agenda items, but I think this is very pertinent, though.
Are we maybe getting ahead of ourselves by adopting these areas and calling it high intensity or low intensity when the committee hasn't decided what high intensity or low intensity is yet?
No, that's coming up later on here.
I know it's coming up later, but if you're gonna adopt the interstate and say, we're gonna adopt these boundaries as a high intensity district, we haven't decided what high intensity is yet. How do you do that? I mean, we're gonna adopt this as low intensity, but we don't know what low intensity is yet. I think you're putting the cart before the horse.
That's fine, we can come back and.
That fellow was saying that as well.
And it kind of got to my earlier question, you said B2, and you're creating new classifications, and I look at zoning for appraisal to get a residential, but also if it's in a B2 zone or whatever, okay, now, what usage is that, and what's allowed in that usage. Also in that area, you've got the institutional usage, because we're sitting there, Village Hall, and then Indian Head Park, which is a recreational usage, which stays a park, right?
Yes.
The trolley, great destination, all that kind of stuff. So you've already got several uses within this overall B2 zone. So that's kind of also what I was trying to wrap my head around this. Okay, you take out some of these areas, and then you've got Birch Rock, and then I think you said staff recommended mixed use, higher intensity, and with retail and other uses. Is that correct? That's what you're looking at for this area?
Yes.
So, I just, again, trying to wrap my head on what's.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't have any problem if we want to go to the next agenda items and come back to this. Because I was going to recommend that your motion, if you approve these, include that stipulation you can come back and look at these districts again. Because I've said in the past, this is a living document. We might get down the line and say, wait a minute, you need to go back a couple of meetings and talk about what we recommended there, because now we're not coordinating with these standards that you're talking about.
So am I understanding correctly that when you change this, that there are different categories that will be within this 100 acres?
Yes.
So whatever those numbers are, whatever goes behind it, whatever your description is that you come up with.
Yep.
Okay, interesting.
I guess just let me ask a real quick question. We're going to approve this 100 acres, but then we're going to go back over the top of this, and maybe this was asked, maybe you asked, and we're going to take this parcel by parcel? Is that what you're saying, Bruce? We're going to take this like
Yes.
parcel by parcel?
We
by
could.
parcel by
We could.
parcel? Is that?
In this area, it's such a small area, I would anticipate you might be talking about a parcel by parcel, yes. In the interstate planning district, you might be talking about a group of parcels, because it's a much larger area.
I'd just like to make a comment. As I understand this, Bruce, just to What I see this doing is specifically for exactly what you said. If someone wants multi-use, high intensity, this boundary and only this boundary is where they can go. Now, we can make there's gonna be a decision with the planning commission, with the village board, with all the people who are in power, whether that particular property can do what they're asking. Is that not what the purpose of this is for?
Yes, and down the line, this committee will be recommending where within this 100 acres the higher intensity or the mixed use can be located.
You were talking about buffer zone area, but we don't, because right now it states in here that one of the options is it could be higher density multifamily, but we haven't defined what's higher density is, right?
Correct.
So what is the
Technically, higher
smallest
density
one
is-
that could be built there, and buffer zone, and what is the largest that could be every one that is? And so we just define where
Correct.
those categories are, right? So should we go to the categories?
Well, you know, when we go through these categories, it's gonna be the same argument, I guess, to an extent, because, for instance, we'll talk about business mixed use. And just to read the first sentence of it, it says where undeveloped land or land with redevelopment potential in the village is within the interstate planning district or the Main Street / or the South Planning District. And it goes on to explain it more, and we get to the point of, well, these districts don't exist. So then we gotta go through the districts and say that they do exist. Something, one down will have some tickets at some point.
I guess in concept, are they a decent target, I guess is what it comes down to. Is it agreeable that this area and that area would be wherever our streams might be, would go? I guess the boundary we could leave up to some final decision making. But
Well, I think that's why you look at each individual parcel in a particular area. And it's like, again, it's like, so if this is what Bruce and the staff is recommending as far as this is the area that we're talking about for this particular type of thing. Now, you're right, we don't have an idea what we're saying high density is, but we know it's different than what we currently have, which is why we're talking
I
about
guess
it.
generically, we
But
don't
this is
know
where
if it's
it's
acceptable because we don't have it.
Right, well, I mean, well, but
We
then,
don't even
okay,
have